Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congressman Johnson. And for those of you who don't know me, I represent Georgia's 4th Congressional District, which encompasses parts of DeKalb County, Gwinnett County, all of Rockdale County, and half of Newton County. Now that will change after redistricting, which the legislature is going into a special session next week to redraw the district lines. So I don't know what my district will look like after redistricting. We'll know in about 2 weeks or so. But I'm excited to be here in this position at this time. And regardless of what happens, I plan on continuing to represent the citizens of Georgia, of the 4th District, if they see fit to elect me again. This is my 8th term, and doesn't seem like it's been that long. 16 years has gone by real quickly. Well, this is actually the 15th year. Next year will be the 16th, but the way time is passing by, it is so, like, things are speeding up. And it seems like the older that I get, the shorter that the years become. So this has been a very short year. I'm privileged to serve on 3 House committees. One is the Judiciary Committee. The other is Transportation and Infrastructure, and also I serve on the Oversight Committee. I also serve as chairman of the Judiciary Subcommittee on Courts, Intellectual Property, and the Internet. And it's my honor to be the keynote speaker. Well, no, I'm not the keynote speaker. I'm the pre-keynote speaker. And I've just met our keynote speaker. She will come after me, and I will try not to bore you too much before she comes. Thank you, Imamia Medics International, Imamia Medics International, for hosting us all today. And I'd like to give a special thank you to my friend, Dr. Gulshan Haji, and all the physicians involved in making the Clarkston Community Health Center continue to strive. This is a phenomenal center that I hope will continue to serve not only Georgians, but all those who need to visit, coming from even Tennessee and Alabama and elsewhere, to receive free, top quality medical care in Georgia's 4th Congressional District. So thanks also to partners in the district, including Mr. Saeed Reyes and Mr. Jeff Taylor at Medcura Health. We will continue the process of building back better after COVID-19 to make better health outcomes that include quality, accessible care for all, no matter of your background or zip code. Year after year, the Clarkston Community Health Center has served as a lifeline for refugees, and nowhere have refugees captured our attention more this year than those of our brothers and sisters coming to our shores from Afghanistan. 2 months ago, the decades-long U.S. war in Afghanistan came to an ignoble end when the U.S.-backed coalition and Afghan government fell and the Taliban seized control of the country. Americans witnessed in shock and horror as men, women, and children fled for their lives en masse. Some ran to flights on the airport tarmac, others fell from aircrafts in the sky. Disturbing as those images were, they have proven to be a harbinger of what's to come. Since August, the Taliban has worked systematically to eliminate the voices of women. And indeed, this has been the first travesty of Taliban rule. Women have again been excluded from participating in every swath of society, from education to the economy. from access to the legal system to civic participation in government. Women judges, women journalists, and women parliamentarians have been confined by the Taliban to their homes, rendered unseen and unheard. Girls have been pulled from schools. Domestic violence is on the rise. Further complicating the situation in Afghanistan is rising poverty. The United Nations estimates that about 97% of Afghanistan's population will experience universal poverty as early as mid-2022. And there's little doubt that the Taliban's elimination of women's participation in the economy and government is a contributing factor to the impending humanitarian crisis. But it's also true that climate effects such as prolonged drought, the COVID-19 pandemic, and a lack of stability due to the political transition continue to disrupt any chance of stability. While shocking, it's not surprising that the United Nations anticipates that 18 million people are on the verge of humanitarian disaster in Afghanistan. What's more, recent actions by the Taliban have made clear that it remains an extremist organization, fundamentally incapable of governing. In the months since the U.S. withdrawal, the Taliban has memorialized rather than condemned suicide bombers by commemorating their families and promising money and land. The Taliban has displaced a Shia Muslim minority across 15 villages and redistributed their land to Taliban supporters. Meanwhile, a subsidiary of ISIS is targeting Shia civilians at places of worship to spread terror and maximize human suffering. The discrimination against Shia Muslims is unconscionable and is disrespectful for human life. Since August 17th, approximately 76,600 Afghan refugees have arrived in the United States of America. I'm proud of that. These are families who left their country behind in search of a better life, in search of a new start. And we owe it to these brave men and women and children to help cushion the challenge of immigration. That's why I was heartened to see President Biden's new plan to revamp our country's outdated refugee resettlement program. President Biden is creating an unprecedented private sponsorship program that connects veterans with Afghans so that vets can serve as a support network for refugees and host them in their hometowns. Otherwise known as sponsor circles, these networks are intended to blunt the hardships faced by refugees by creating a support system with resources to secure housing and medical services, among other needs. I'm proud to share that my office has also played an instrumental role in assisting Afghan allies through the levers available to Congress. My office provides the latest information to constituents who have relatives still in Afghanistan. The Department of State is still prioritizing the evacuation of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents, as well as approved special immigrant visas. And although the Department of State has not provided much guidance on how they will be able to assist in evacuating pending SIVs or IVs, we continue to monitor the situation on a daily basis. Our office has been urging the Department of State and the Biden administration to provide us with answers to streamline processes for Afghan allies to be able to come to the United States of America. Additionally, I have co-signed a series of letters to Secretary of State Blinken and President Biden urging support for Afghan refugees and the Afghan Resettlement Advisory Council. I've called for appropriating emergency funds to Afghans and assisting at-risk Afghan women. And I'm an original co-sponsor of HRES 547, a bipartisan resolution led by Representatives Manning and Kim that calls for the continued support of Afghan women and girls and the drawdown of American troops. That said, our work is far from finished. So long as Afghanistan requires humanitarian assistance, Americans must step up and provide aid. But as you know, it's more than simply a matter of funding. At heart, Americans must remember that the extremist organizations that claim to represent the voices of the Afghan people or Muslims around the globe are anything but representative. In fact, Muslims worldwide condemn the actions of extremist organizations and terrorist groups. And Muslim Americans have risen to the occasion time and time again to serve, protect, and honor our nation's core principles. Muslim Americans serve as elected representatives in Congress. Muslim Americans are among our Gold Star families. We must uplift the contributions of this community at every opportunity to actively counter Islamophobia. That's why I'm a proud co-sponsor, an original co-sponsor of HR 5665, Combating International Islamophobia Act, led by Representatives Omar and Schakowsky. This legislation aims to address the rise in incidents of Islamophobia by requiring the State Department to create a special envoy for monitoring and combating Islamophobia. The bill would also document state-sponsored Islamophobia violence and impunity in the department's annual human rights reports. While the geopolitical situation abroad remains somewhat in flux, I'm heartened to see progress on the domestic front in beating back the pandemic. You have seen my Shots in the Shops vaccine event under the leadership of President Biden and the White House, the vaccination event I hosted with Emory Healthcare in Rockdale County, and I will continue to host and participate in similar events to make sure that folks get vaccinated, and I'm committed to dispelling rumors and fears around the vaccine. Members of this audience know all too well that the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated stark health disparities among racial and ethnic minority populations in several areas, including infections, hospitalizations, death rates, and vaccination rates. Many of these same populations have experienced job loss or loss of health insurance coverage at disproportionately high rates. The healthcare and frontline workers like all of you across this nation and throughout this state will ultimately be the critical key to making our recovery and the light at the end of this tunnel a reality. We all must come together in this fight to make it out to a better side of this pandemic, and I'm confident that my office will continue to work with you as we prioritize health services and care, especially for those families in underserved communities. May we all use the words shared here today to serve as motivation to keep fighting for the right and responsibility to mitigate health disparities and life outcomes, to strengthen our relationships with one another, and to build back better. Today's pivotal conference will serve as a benchmark in the pathway forward. I do want to thank I do want to once again thank all of you who have served as frontline personnel, helping to keep others healthy. We can't thank you enough. I want to thank you again. Thank you.